Hello and welcome to this second exploring session looking at the Cobbler's Prophecy by Robert Wilson. Not only probably by Robert Wilson, but probably written for himself to play the lead central figure. We can't be absolutely certain about that, but it sure as hell feels like a star vehicle written by a star for himself to wander around doing various set pieces. We sort of enjoyed the first half of the play. We were a bit nonplussed a few times because some of the narrative elements are not as well explained as they go as perhaps they could be. But there's an awful lot of really nice comic business. It's been a bit of a shaggy dog story as this this cobbler has been imbued with a prophecy to deliver to Mars, and he's gone on a bit of a journey to find Mars, and has had lots of little mini comic adventures along the way, frequently not fully involving him. He just sort of turns up and vaguely prophesies at people in some sort of way. So yeah, it's raised all sorts of interesting questions about how it might be staged today, how it might have been staged at the time. There's lots of interesting questions about who might have been performing it, where, why, and how, and we might engage with that more towards the end of this session. However, we're going to be going from about halfway through the play to the end, and we have assembled this wonderful team of people. And so, reading today the part of Contempt and the Duke is...
That actually sounds like a really good band or something. Hi, I'm Eric.
Lead singer of Contempt and the Duke. And reading Sateros, a Soldier today is...
I'm Lois in London.
And reading Mars, or as it was pronounced yesterday, Mars, as well as a scholar and a priest is...
I am Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
Reading Venus, Inner, and Zelota today is...
Hi there, I'm Emma Kemp. I'm an actor and I'm in London.
And reading Emnius and a Messenger today is...
Hello, I'm Lynn. I'm a teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
Reading a Newfangle, Rue, and a Country Gentleman is...
Hi, I'm Rachael, an actor in New Jersey.
Reading Folly, a Mercury, and a Prisoner is...
Aliki, an actor and translator in Lancaster.
I say a prisoner. For all I know, you're the prisoner. You know, you're not a number. You're a free person. And reading the Cobbler themselves, Rafe is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good. I'm the star of the show.
And yes, it does really feel like a star vehicle, and we're going to be digging more into that as we go. I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions and any part that I've accidentally forgotten to give out that we need to randomly do in a hurry. We've gone from a half of the play where, on paper, the cast needs to be about 12 or more to cover lots and lots of parts, but actually we were able to read that with about 6 people relatively comfortably. This half involves a lot more people, and it's a really interesting question in my mind as to how this potentially might work, and who might be performing it and whether it doubles in certain specific interesting ways. We're going into what we're calling Scene 7, and it's Enter Contempt and Venus.
Come, lady love, now bore we Mars, thou mine, I thine beloved.
Ah, my contempt, it will be spied too soon. So shall our pleasures have a bitter end. Provide some place, for I am big with child, and clean undone if Mars my guilt espy.
Sweet Venus, be assured I have that care, but you perchance will coyly scorn the place.
What? It's some abbey or a nunnery?
No, they abound with much hypocrisy.
Is it a gentleman's or a farmer's house?
No, too much resort would there bewray your being.
Some husbandman's, some inn, some cleanly alehouse?
Neither of these a spittle, lovely love.
What? Where foul lasers and loathed lepers lie? Their stink will choke thy Venus and her babe.
Why, gentle Venus, I entreat he be not over nice. What think ye, as the proverb goes, that beggars have no lice? proctors themselves in every spittle house have things as neat as men of more account.
But I have seen even very mean men's wives against their childbirth so provide for, as all their husbands' wealth was scarce the worth of the fine linen used in that month. And shall not Venus be as kindly used?
It must be as we may. I'll go, provided and spy my time slyly to steal thee hence.
And exit Contempt.
Away, for Mars is come.
I'm just going to pause there. Maybe we'll move that stage direction to go after exit after being told to go away. I'm just going to pause there because we suddenly seem to have walked into an interesting soap opera. We've met Contempt as a character earlier. I do not recall any reference to an affair with Venus going on.
No.
Okay. There is a sense that these mythological figures are essentially a soap opera in their own right, and this is really leaning into this, isn't it? Wow. I just want to ask a question to the room. I don't want to linger too long here. Beggars have no lice. Is that a genuine proverb, or is that just some nonsense? That anyone heard that one before? I'm looking.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's an analogue for what that should be, and it's a deliberate adjustment kind of thing. Because it's an interesting turn of phrase. Any brief thoughts as we've barely started? I've just stopped mid-scene.
I'm just really interested in this digression into the comforts required by a childbearing woman, and I didn't expect to be discussing the linens of the birthing bed. That's all.
Yeah, it's Eric.
I just googled beggars have no lice, and the first thing that comes up is various sites about types of wildflowers. I don't know if that's relevant though.
Okay, interesting. I think this might be one for us to delve into a little later on. I have a book that might be able to give me an answer, which I'll dive into. Aliki
found beggars have no choice.
Yes, beggars can't be choosers. So
that makes more sense.
So it's a deliberate, and it's leaning into whatever the rhyme of nice. So try slice. So that's interesting.
In the middle of the great vowel shift, choice and lice might have essentially rhymed.
So nice. Okay. I don't want to linger there too much. We can come back to it in a mo if we like. Venus, Contempt, they're a thing, and they're trying to keep from Mars the fact that she's pregnant. So it's all going on here. Okay. Enter Mars. Contempt has run away, and Venus goes and says hello.
Welcome, God Mars. Where hath my love been all this while?
Walking about the garden, time for to beguile. Whereas between niceness your maid and Newfangle your man, I heard such sport as for your part, would you have been there then? Quote niceness to Newfangle, thou art such a jack, that thou devisest 40 fashions for my lady's back. And thou, quoth he, art so possessed with every frantic toy, that following my lady's humour, thou dost make her coy. For once a day, for fashion's sake, my lady must be sick. No meat but mutton, or at most the pinion of a chick. Today her own hair best becomes, which yellow is as gold. A periwig's better for tomorrow, blacker to behold. Today in pumps and chervil gloves, to walk she will be bold. Tomorrow cuffs and countenance, for fear of catching cold. Now is she barefaced to be seen, straight on her muffler goes. Now is she huffed up to the crown, straight nulled to the nose. These 7 years, trust me, better sport I heard not to my mind. The dialogue done, then down came I, my lady love to find.
And thou hast found her all alone, half sickly by ill hap. Sit for a while, Mars, and lay thy head upon my lap. I see my folks behind my back have much good talk of me.
And so they have.
They are too idle, soft Mars, do you see?
And just pause there. We don't have a stage direction indicating it, but Rafe and Sateros have to have entered by now. But then also there seems to be an indication that there should be more people about in this scene, or at least from when Mars came in. I see my folks behind my back. I don't know if that's indicating just in general or whether there's specifically things. But anyway, we definitely have people coming in here, Sateros and Rafe. So Mars will now indicate that this is happening.
And so they have. Sorry. I see some saucy mates press in. Now, sirs, what would you have?
Be not offended, sir. We seek God Mars.
Why, Mars have you found, sir? What's your will with him?
Are you he? I cry you mercy. I promise you I took you for a Morris dancer. You are so trim.
What says the villain?
If thou be Mars, the cause which makes me doubt is that I see thy body lapped in soft silk, which was wont to be clad in hard steel, and thy head so childishly laid on a woman's lap. Pardon, I humbly beseech thee, the plainness of thy poor servant, and vouchsafe to read my poor petition.
And the soldier delivers the petition. Mars takes and reads it. Meanwhile, Venus speaks.
Rough-shaped soldier, enemy to love, why dost thou thirst so much for bloody war, wherein the strong man by a stronger quelled, or reached far off by dastard darter's aim, breathes forth his spirit with a bootless cry, leaving behind his earth's anatomy? By war, the infant, trampled under seeds, holds to his mother out his feeble hand, and she is ravished while her youngling bleeds. Yet to abide death's stroke doth quaking stand, the twice forced virgin like the wounded lamb, dejected at the mercy of the wolf, holds up her throat in vain to bloody men, that will not kill her while her beauty stayeth, but stab her when her tears her fair decayeth. Away, thou bloody man, vex not my lord. By war true love is hindered and undone, and ladies' laps left empty of their loves, whose heads did beautify their tender knees.
Well, you need not plain. Your lap's full enough.
Fair Venus, be propitious. I will fight to maintain true love and defend the right.
On that condition, soldier, I am one. Receive this favour. Mars, let it be done.
Sateros, I have received thy supplication, and sorrow I cannot, as I would, give thee immediate comfort. If I should oppose myself against the gods, they would soon set fire on my seat. 6 W's there are, 3 at liberty, 3 imprisoned, and 1 their keeper at liberty. Willness, wrong, and wantonness. In prison are war, wreak, and woe. Their keeper is wonder, who, once giving way to liberty for those he holds, shall set thee and thy fellows on work. In meantime, go thou to the Duke of Boeotia, commend us to him, and when he can, he will employ thee, I'm sure. Let that be thy answer for this time. And so, good Sateros, be contented.
I humbly take my leave, adored Mars. Prove a good night raven, Venus, I entreat.
Farewell, poor soldier. Wear that for my sake.
Of both your godheads, duteous leave I take.
And when go you, sir?
Who? I? Good Lord, there hangs a matter by.
Why, what are you? Get gone, or I will send thee gone.
I pray you bear a while, gentle master mine, and you shall hear in mine speech, I warrant.
Go to, sir fool. Let's hear what you can say.
And shall I warranty to your cost, my Lady Doolittle. Mars, though thou be a cock of the game that wants to crow by day, and with thy sharpened spurs the craven cocks did kill and say, sith now thou dost but prune thy wings and make thy feathers gay, A dunghill cock that crows by night shall slyly thee betray, and tread thy hen, and for a time shall carry her away. And she by him shall hatch a chick, this country to decay. And for this pretty pullet's name thou shalt the better learn, when thou shalt only letters 5 within one name discern. 3 vowels and 2 consonants, which vowels, if thou scan, doth sound that which to every place conducteth every man. Then call to mind this prophecy, for that's the bastard's name. Then rouse thyself and reach thy sword and win thy wonted fame. Now I have done the task for which I came, and so farewell, fine master and nice dame.
Exit Rafe. Yes, that's the end of the play, people. He's delivered the prophecy. No, it's not. We're still mid-scene, but I'm going to pause there because, I think we said this off camera, but, what was that opening prophecy all about? When we first heard it, but now it's I wouldn't say it's illuminated clear as day, but yeah, the decoding has been given to us by the events of the play so far. Helen,
the earlier part of Rafe's speeches, I think, are asides because no one reacts to them. If you see his first their commentaries. They almost hear, I took you for a Morris dancer, but not quite.
Well, it's that thing of authority going, sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Would you say that again? Kind of thing, perhaps.
And then your lapseful enough is completely ignored. So either they heard it or couldn't believe it. And couldn't believe it, as you suggest, or else they don't hear it.
Yeah, the question of Rafe's relationship with the audience and the people on stage is a really interesting one. Alan?
If she's trying to avoid being thought to be pregnant, cuddling him on her lap is possibly not a good move.
It's early days. And it's really interesting. There's so many. Venus is sort of orbiting of the soldier with that speech, while the letter's being. I've noted it that seems to be a sort of state. It's not a stage direction, but it's just. It feels to me that she does that speech. Rough-shaped soldier, enemy to love. Feels like there's something interesting going on there of with him. I also love the way the soldier addresses Mars. If you're Mars, because you don't look like Mars, and then he sort of pulls it back, having gone too far. Pardon, I humbly beseech you. It's like he just starts with an insult, and then goes, "Oh yeah, I've got a petition." Other thoughts in the room? Lynn.
So I did listen to yesterday's recording. I didn't really follow it. But so I do remember the prophecy of someone's name is going to have 3 vowels and 2 consonants, and now evidently it's this child that Venus is pregnant with, that's Contempt's child. I mean, do we know? Am I just like not putting 2 and 2 together? Do we know what this name is? Do we know what's going on?
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we don't know what this 5-letter word is yet.
No, but
that's presumably set up for later. Yeah. He said.
And when you put the vowels together, it's something that conducts people everywhere.
Yeah, when I first started getting into that bit, I thought, is that something to do with the difference between contempt and content? And then it didn't quite work. So that was my initial thought. I mean, yes, we have, however, now been able to put those pieces together as to who these people are, because we've heard this. This is the second time we've heard this prophecy, and we first heard it with no data at all, and it was just... and now we're able to pull a few bits together. So that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I think that Lynn's reaction to the yesterday's session is absolutely right in the sense that, you know, if you're just hearing the words coming at you, this play doesn't deliver very well. It doesn't deliver its own narrative very clearly a lot of the time. I think the staging is really important. The physical stuff going with it is really important. Other thoughts before we complete the scene? Emma.
I was just laughing right at the very end of that section, at the comic timing. So he delivers this bomb, basically, saying Venus is having an affair, and then walks out. Doesn't stay for it to explode. That was really funny.
Yeah, bye.
Done my part.
Yeah.
I can exit.
Yeah.
Well, it's his sole purpose in the play is to deliver this speech, basically. So and it's nice he doesn't milk it at all. Eric.
But also they kind of want to get rid of him from the beginning, like, get gone or I will send thee gone. That kind of like sort of shoo. Go. Yeah. Bye. So he doesn't outstay his welcome.
Yes, but he isn't. I mean, I put in chat, he's one of those people who are at home wherever they may be. I mean, he has been in the most unlikely circumstances and he is completely unfazed by it.
Yeah, he really has no conception of context at all. He just turns up and he's just himself, which creates all sorts of problems for everybody else around him.
I mean, I don't see him running at the end of the prophecy. He's just sauntering out while everybody else is stunned into immobility, and they only start getting cross with him after he's gone.
Yeah, it's just going, dun, 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 dun. Well, nobody's moving. So, yeah, bye. Okay, we're still, say, mid-scene, so let's get to the end of the scene. He's dropped this bombshell. This truth bomb has been thrown into the lap of Venus, where Mars is currently lying. And we have the stage direction after exit of Rafe. Mars rises in a rage. Venus offers to stay him.
A dunghill cock to tread my hen? Break forth, ye angry powers. Fill the world with bloodshed, with rage.
My lord, my love.
Venus, I am abused.
Why will ye trust a fool when he shall speak, and take his words to be as oracles?
But he has touched me near, and I'll revenge.
Ay me! Revenge true lovers' wrongs, immortal powers, and ne'er let lady trust a soldier.
And make as if she swoons.
Why faintest thou, Venus? Why art thou distressed? Look up, my love. Speak, Venus. Speak to me.
Nay, let me die, sith Mars hath wronged me.
Thou hast not wronged me. Mars believes it not.
Yes, yes. Base cobblers utter oracles, and all a soothfast words against poor love.
I will believe no words. They're all false. Only my Venus is as bright as heaven, and firmer than the poles that hold up heaven.
Now comes your love too late. First have you slain her whom your honey words cannot recure again.
I will do penance on my knees to thee, and beg a kiss that have been so unkind.
And know you not, unkindness kills a woman?
And though it doth, sweet, forgive my fault.
I will forgive ye now, you beg so hard, but trust me, next time I'll not be entreated.
Now hast thou cheered my drooping thoughts, sweet love. Let me lay down my head upon thy knee. Sing one sweet song, thy voice will ravish me.
Folly, come forth.
And enter Folly.
Sweet.
Anon forsooth.
Anon forsooth.
Be it niceness, Newfangle, dalliance, and the rest bring forth their music. Mars intends to sleep.
I will forsooth.
Exit Folly.
I I think indeed that I shall quickly sleep, especially with music and good song.
Enter Folly with a fife, niceness, Newfangle, dalliance, and jealousy. I don't think we need to worry about too many of these people. With their instruments, they play while Venus sings. So, song by Venus.
Sweet are the thoughts that harbour full content. Delightful be the joys that know no care. The sleeps are sound that from dreams exempt. Yet in chief sweets lies the secret snare. Where love is watched by prying jealous eyes, it fits the love to be wary wise.
Peep, peep, madam, he is asleep.
And enter Contempt, so Mars is asleep, and enter Contempt, who kisses Venus, and then we have a question as to who's singing this next. I'm assuming it's still Venus singing.
Sleep on secure. Let care not touch thy heart. Leave to love her that longs to live in change. So wantons deal when they their fares impart. Roam thou abroad, for I intend to range. Yet wantons learn to guide your roving eyes, as no suspect by gazing may arise.
And then we can assume that Venus continues talking here.
Hold on your music. Folly, leave thy play. Come hither. Lay his head upon thy knee. Fie! Whoa, what a loathed load was he to me! Come, my content, let's dance about the place, and mock God Mars into his sleepy face.
Venus agreed. Play us a galliard.
Music plays, they dance and leap over Mars, and making horns at every turn, at length leave him.
Why sings not Venus? Her love I to hear. Sweet let the fife be further from mine ear.
Folly holds still the fife.
Nay, let the fife play, or else the music fails.
Folly plays again.
What, still so near my ear? Sweet Venus, sing.
And we have just a note of sing, question mark, not sure there.
Where is she? Are we saying that's Mars's line, or?
I'm assuming that's continuation of Mars's dialogue. I think it's the question will sing there. We'll debate in a moment.
Where is she? Out, fool! What does my head upon thy knee?
Forsooth, my mistress bid me.
Where's Venus? Speak, ye rebels, harlots, fools, and never speak again except I see her. Mars is impatient. Find out Venus soon, or perish, slaves, before my angry wrath.
Exeunt duo. I'm assuming that's the musical trio, duo rather. They're exiting.
Nay, a lady, Folly will live for all you.
Away, ye fool! Tell Venus of my rage, and bid her come to Mars that now begins to doubt the Cobbler's prophecy.
Exit Folly. Enter Newfangle and Dalliance.
My lord, we cannot find her anywhere.
Hence, villains, seek the garden, search each place. Mars will not suffer such a abhorred disgrace.
Re-enter Folly.
Where's Venus, Folly? Prithee, tell me, fool.
Forsooth, she's run away with a man called Contempt.
What hath Contempt robbed mighty Mars of love? Hence, fools and flatterers, fly you from my sight. Mars with kindled fires begins to burn. Away, ye hellhounds, ministers of shame. Vanish like smoke, for you are lighter far.
And they all run away.
Against wantonness proclaim I open war. Unconstant woman, I accuse your sex of folly, lightness, treachery, and fraud. You are the scum of ill, the scorn of good, the plague of mankind, and the wrath of heaven, the cause of envy, anger, murder, war. Are you the peopled towns are deserts made, the deserts filled with horror and distress? You laugh hyena-like, weep as the crocodile. One ruin brings your sorrow and your smile. Hold in lightness, thou lust hath kindled fire. The trumpet's clang and roaring noise of drums shall drown the echoes of your weeping cries, and powder smoke dim your entrancing eyes. These wanton ornaments for maskers fit will Mars leave off and suit himself in steel, and strumpet Venus with that vile contempt I will pursue unto the depth of hell. Away with pity, welcome ire and rage, which naught but Venus' ruin shall assuage.
And exit Mars. End scene. So yes, in big picture terms, there's a lot that's problematic about elements here. But in terms of what the scene is doing before us, this is a really cheeky little scene. So yeah, Mars in Venus's lap. Venus sings this beautiful love song. The moment he's asleep, in comes the lover. The moment you can, you swap yourself around so that Folly's there to continue singing to him if he wakes. And they not only make out, but they dance and they do that. It's yeah, it's a really cheeky scene, I have to say. Thoughts in the room?
It's an absolute beggar to try and work out what his mood is at the point, because it's changing around like there's a ruddy cyclone blowing.
Yeah, and that song, that sing one where we said we'd figure it out later, I think that must be Folly starts singing there, and he's just going, hang on, you're not Venus. What the hell's going on? So yeah, and then he gets very, very cross, and things get a little more generally problematic. Helen, then Lynn.
Yes, I think the Cobbler has precipitated her flight. But nevertheless, she's into risk in a big way, isn't she? I mean, you've got Mars. I mean, he may not be in armor. He may be lying there in silks and very effeminate, but he's still Mars. And she's jumping over him and making vulgar signs, gestures. I mean, she's getting off on danger, is Venus.
I mean, she's Venus. She'll get off on anything.
Yeah. Well, possibly draw the line at Rafe.
Yeah. He's already married for a start, anyway. Lynn, then Lois.
When did that stop?
Well, yeah. I mean, what's weird to me and what makes this all just it's just sort of hard for me to suspend my disbelief or whatever is that the relationship between Mars and Venus was an illicit affair to begin with. Venus was married to Vulcan, so making cuckold signs at him, he's the cuckold, not the cuckold. Why should he expect her to be faithful to him when she's having an illicit affair with him in the first place? I'm sorry, it's not making sense to me.
Yeah, he is a man. He would probably expect that.
Yeah, I guess. It's like, oh, now that you're having an affair with me, I'm your consort and I expect you to be, I guess. But it's kind of like we're just expected to forget that part of the myth.
Yes, I think, though, that the original plan of the prophecy was to break it up between her and Mars in order that Mars should be released for his martial duties, and she would presumably return to her duties.
Yeah, and the fact that this text seems to be so anti-love and pro-war, I also find uncomfortable.
Well, there is a question with all of Wilson about tone of how much of this is potentially satirical as well. I mean, it's the irony of Mars standing up and saying that Venus is depopulating the planet. The god of war is making that accusation. There's surely an irony to be played there, and that is surely to some degree intentional. I may be wrong there. Lois and then Aliki.
Yeah, it seems to be some sort of mashup of mythology. I mean, we did have a lame character at the entrance to Mars's house, who seemed to be a kind of version of Vulcan, although he wasn't Vulcan.
Well, we've already seen Vulcan. He was the Vulcan was in the opening tableau and was limping, so it's interesting that.
Yeah, and then it's sort of as if Wilson had seen some Renaissance paintings or prints of them with particularly little satyrs, and I mean a lot of these images of Venus with Mars do show him lying in her lap, and cupids or satyrs are playing with his weapons and tying ribbons around his helmet and doing things to his spear with obvious significance. And I don't know, it just, it's as if it's all kind of being used here in some kind of vague way.
Well, yeah, I mean, this. I think we again had this discussion a bit before we went on camera, where talking about that these myths are material that is being used in popular culture, and maybe not being used in an accurate way. They're getting it wrong, people, and that happens a lot more often than perhaps we and the playwrights don't care. It's not that they don't necessarily know, because as I say, they know that the Vulcan's the limping one. I think it's just simply that this is being very playful and fundamentally, so long as it gets what they want to do with the scene, what they want to do with the comic situation, I just don't think he cares. Aliki.
I mean, you see the same thing with fantasy writers now, or they'll take mythology and do with it what they want, and they don't not know it. It's just more useful to them this way. I'm just going to, because I'm so pleased with having found this. Agrimony is the plant that's called beggar's lice, and a little bit of plant folklore attached to it is that if you put some under your pillow, you would sleep until it was removed. So maybe there's some kind of reference, because it's in a scene where she's talking about not being able to sleep in a hospital. With the Lazarus dirty sheets, maybe. Or maybe I'm being far too clever.
I don't know. It's all grist for the mill. Yeah, that's one for future us to worry about, and whether that makes that a more comprehensible bit of business. I don't think it'll make the blindest bit of difference to the audience, even if we did know precisely what the reference was doing. Just say it quickly and get through it. Eric.
I'm just starting to wonder, because obviously, like, Venus calls contempt content, and then sort of is that going to change into some sort of new name afterwards? Because obviously it's not a 5-letter word, and it doesn't have 3 vowels or 2 consonants. So I'm like, well, this is not working out quite the way he spelled it out, but then maybe that comes later.
Yeah, she is content with the person who is holding everyone else in contempt. It's the play of the sounding of the words. But yeah, it's clearly not referencing that, or unless they're doing something very clever, which I'm missing. Anyway, we need to move on. Yes, there's other scenes to do. So scene 8, where we are going to. Have we met the Duke before? We've heard reference to the Duke, but I don't think we've actually met the Duke. We know that there's a courtier, Emnius, who's quite keen on dispensing with the Duke, but I don't think, as I say, we've actually met him yet. So enter the Duke, Sateros the soldier, as well as the scholar, and Rafe the cobbler.
Well, I do like your reasoning, gentlemen. You for your learning, Sateros for act. The learned is preferred, the soldiers shall not want. But, Sateros, you must forbear a while. I cannot yet employ ye as I would. Meantime, attend the court. You shall have pay to my ability and your content.
Thanks to your highness.
Scholar, lead him in. Be kind to him, he's a soldier. Attend upon us to our hunting, Sateros. We must have pleasant war anon with beasts.
And withdraw, Sateros and scholar.
When will these fellows make an end?
Depart, my friends. I have a little business with this poor man that doth attend to speak with me.
Exeunt. So they haven't actually, they just withdrew a little bit. Exeunt, scholar and Sateros.
Fellow, what it is thou wilt now reveal?
You are the Duke of all this land, and this I wish ye to understand. The princes give to many bread, which wish them shorter by the head. You have a courtier, Emnius named, whose flattering tongue hath many blamed. He louteth low, doth fawn and kneel, your worthy meaning for to feel, and quaintly roams your person nigh, willing to see it fall and die. You have a daughter, fair and trim, he loveth her, and she loves him. Yet as the fox doth win the kid, so are his secret treasons hid. He dares not once his passions move, for fear your highness should reprove. Yet it is not your daughter dear that he desires so fair and clear. He coveteth your dignity, and therefore this intendeth he. Today you mean to hunt in wood, and for he doth pretend no good, he hath with shot intended ill, and means your noble grace to kill. I that desire for to explain the manner of your grace's pain, give counsel ere the deed be done, that you may all deceiving shun. I see that Emnius cometh nigh, my protestation quickly try, and if you find, as I have said, that you should be by him betrayed, remember Rafe the cobbling knave, you warning of this mischief gave. So I leave you to search the slave.
And again, job done. Exit Rafe. Emnius the courtier possibly has entered slightly earlier than the stage direction here, but we now have Emnius the courtier talking to the Duke.
My honourable lord, the train attends, all things are ready for your highness' sport, and I am sent from others of estate to pray your grace to haste your wonted presence.
Emnius, they must attend a while, for I have secrets to impart with thee.
Say on, my honourable lord, to me.
Thou knowest we must unto the wood.
True, my most gracious lord.
Suppose there were a traitorous foe of mine, what wouldst thou do to rid me from my fear?
Die on the traitor, and prepare his grave, before he should one thought of comfort have.
But tell me, Emnius, didst thou see a tree that bore fair fruit delighting to the eye, and by the straightness of the trunk they'd grow too high? Wouldst thou oppose thyself against the tree, and work the downfall ere the fall should be?
I would regard no height to claim the fruit that should content me, but attempt to climb the highest top of height, or fall to death, alone and naked to obtain my will.
I am right joyous you are so resolute. Such courtiers should become a noble prince. But tell me, Emnius, had I any foe that secretly attempted my distress? What secret weapon have ye to prevent?
Only my sword, my lord, that is my rest, my resolution to defend your grace.
And have you not a dag to help me too?
A dag, my lord?
Aye, man, deny it not. I know ye have a dag prepared for me.
I have a dag not for your majesty.
And the Duke takes the gun from off Emnius.
Yes, Emnius, pour thyself unto thyself, and let thy own eyes be thy heart's true witness. Wearest thou this dag to endure any beast? Bearest thou these bullets for a foeman's life? Or art thou bent against thy loyal lord to reave his life that gives thee life and breath?
Against beasts, my lord, doth Emnius like to deal. He is not so beastly and abominate as he delights to joy in treachery.
So smiles hyena when she will beguile, and so with tears deceives the crocodile. Are not these tools prepared for my end? Speak, ill-intending man. Ah, Emnius? Have I for this maintained thy estate, afforded all the favors I could yield, to be rewarded with ingratitude, with murder, with treachery, and these attempts? And all in hope to win my realm and child. I will not show thy sin unto the world, but as thou didst intend, so thou shalt fall.
And Emnius kneels down.
Receive thy death, desertful man of death, and perish all thy treacherous thoughts with thee.
Welcome my death, desertful I confess. Heavens pardon my intent, your highness bless.
The Duke raises
Heavens
him
pardon
up.
thy intent, and so do I. Be true hereafter, thou shalt not die. Come follow us, Emnius. Learn to know this lore. Murder of meanest men brings shame of princes more.
And exit the Duke.
Oh, that same cobbling rove that raving runs and Matting aims at every hid intent. Reveal this practice, but I'll stab the slave, and he wants death. The Duke's death I will have.
And exit Emnius. Receive thy death, desertful man of death. That's a recursive line if ever we've had one. Yeah, so Rafe turns up, says there's going to be a murder plot. The person entering is going to try and murder you. Might be a good idea to disarm him before you have any kind of chat with him. Duke does that and then doesn't kill him.
Tactical mistake, perhaps.
Yeah, Emnius is really grateful for that. That show of justice. Yeah. So yeah, it's nice. Both prophecies have been delivered, and yeah. So it plays over. No, it's not.
Yeah,
Helen.
Prophecy number 2 has nowhere been mentioned before. We know all about prophecy number 1, but this prophecy is completely unheralded and unexpected. Am I not right? I mean,
I don't know. Anyone noticed anything? I don't think so.
But
Well-
was Rafe present in the earlier scene when Emnius was talking about his aspirations?
He did it in a solo monologue, so I don't think he mentioned it at all during the scene when they were all or everybody was sort of in it together.
So is Rafe loitering corner stage when not actually shown to speak?
yeah, I have another theory.
Oh, go ahead.
My theory is that this mercurial gift of prophecy that has been dumped into his brain by the god has a long way to go. It's got all sorts of after effects. He not only is able to deliver the prophecy to Mars, but he's got an enormous amount of prophetic ability that's got nowhere to go. So he's fizzing around the place like a half-spent firework. A Catherine wheel that had got a kink in it or something and has fallen off its pole and it's now going nuts.
Which would mean that those earlier semi-prophetic sort of random speeches are genuine misfires of him just going,
Yes.
Message incoming from the big giant head.
Yeah.
It'd be a really interesting way to play him as a character note. I like that.
Yeah. Eric.
Well, to build on that, I remember this comedy show that played in Cyprus a few years ago. That was there was a sort of the mad person in the village basically, who was her hair would sort of catch stations and sort of tune into various like TV stations and stuff or radio. So she could spy on things, which I mean, you could do that like with mad hairdo and sort of like whatever. But also, I wanted to mention the whole like. This seems like sort of traveling stuff. So Smile's hyena when she will beguile, and the tears of the crocodile and the tree, and so on and so forth. It's all very pretty imagery from the Duke and Emnius earlier with the whole whale business.
Yeah, these animals that deceive because of the nature of the shape of their faces. Dolphins aren't smiling at you; their faces are just shaped that way. Hyenas are not laughing. Crocodiles, their crocodile tears. All these fun things. Other thoughts in the room before we move on. So yeah, it's an interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, the slightly randomness quality to it. Again, we've got a sort of Rafe aside probably in there. When will these fellows make an end? It's just standing there. Is it my turn yet? I got a ticket from the machine saying I'm next in queue, and don't you just hate it when you're stuck behind? It's always the soldier as well. He's always talking. Soldier hasn't quite got a job. He's got a sort of. He's got a potential in, but he hasn't got an official position yet. So maybe some hunting. He can do some of that organisational stuff. Okay, we're going to go on to C9. Yes, we are. Enter Mercury with a trumpet sounding, and 2 of Venus' waiting maids. The one named Rue, the other Inna, and Inna is bearing a child.
Be it known unto all people that whereas Venus, alias Lost, hath long challenged a preeminence in heaven, and been adored with the name of a goddess, the synod of the gods being assembled in regard of her adulteries with Mars, discovered by Phoebus, when in the face of heaven they both were taken in an iron net, wherein her wrong to Vulcan was apparent, and since that many other escapes considered, but lastly and most especially her public adultery she hath committed with that base monster Contempt, they have all consented, and to this degree firmed that no more shall Venus possess the title of a goddess, but be utterly excluded the compass of heaven. And it shall be taken as a great indignity to the gods to give Venus any other title than the detested name of Lust, or Strumpet Venus. And whosoever shall adore Contempt or entertain him shall be reputed an enemy to the gods. More it is decreed that war shall be raised against Boeotia, and victory shall not fall on their side until the cabin of Contempt be consumed with fire, given at Olympus by Jupiter and the celestial synod.
All tidings for my lady these.
I'll news, poor babe, for thee.
What? Who are these? I take you to be 2 of Venus virgins, are you not?
Faith, she is a pure virgin indeed, for the child she had by Venus chaplain is a big boy and follows the father.
And so are you a maid too, are you not? For the girl you had by Mars his captain, she's dead and troubles not the mother.
And I perceive ye both maids for the most part.
Well, for our maidenheads, its skill not much, for in the world I know are many such.
Aye, Mercury, I pray let that go. We are fair Venus maids, no more but so, and in our lady's cause we do entreat to know if that be true thou didst proclaim, or was it spoken but of policy to Freitas, whom thou knewst to be her maids?
As true as neither of you both are maids, so true it is that I have uttered. The sentence is set down, Venus exiled.
Ay me, poor babe for thee.
Whose child is that you bear so tenderly?
My lady's child, begotten by Contempt.
Oh, is it so? And whither bear you it?
To nurse.
To whom?
Unto security.
Is it a boy or girl, I pray you tell?
A girl it is.
Who are the godmothers?
We 2 are they.
Your names I crave.
Mine Rue and hers is Inna.
And whether name I pray ye bears the girl?
Both hers and mine.
And who is godfather?
Ingratitude. That is likewise the grandfather.
Ruin, otherwise called Ruin the child. Contempt the father, Venus alias Lust the mother, Rue and Inna the godmother, Ingratitude the godfather and grandfather, and Security the nurse. Here's a brood that all Boeotia shall curse. Well, damsels, hie you hence, for one is coming nigh will tread your young one underfoot.
'Tis Mars. Ah, let us fly.
And they fly away indeed. Enter Mars in arms.
Now, Mars, thou seemest like thyself, thy women's weeds cast off, which made thee be in heaven a scorn, on earth a common scoff.
Oh, Mercury, how am I bound to thee, that blazest forth this strumpet's just reproof? Oh, could I find the harlot or a brood, I would revenge me of indignities. Now, Mercury, I mind a prophecy. A simple fellow brought it me on a day, when wantoning upon her knee I lay, how that a craven cock should tread my hen, and she should hatch chick this country to decay. The bastard's name he told me too, but it was riddle-wise. Help me to search it, Mercury. I know thee quick and wise, when I should only in a word 5 letters just discern, 3 vowels and 2 consonants. The name I should soon should learn. Those same vowels he did bid that I should duly scan, and they would signify the way that guideth every man. Hast thou not heard of such a thing?
Yes, and did send that prophecy. And even as thou camest hither, the bastard and the godmothers were in this place together.
Were they indeed? Where are they now? I'll search. I'll follow
Be
them.
patient, Mars. They will be quickly found. Ruina is the bastard's name, RN the consonants, U, I, and A the vowels be, and Via is the way.
Thou have found it, Mercury. Thou hast resolved. I will raise war. I will avenged be. Go with me, Mercury. Thou my revenge shall see.
I will go and do my best for thee.
And they exeunt. Now, for all of you who were here for scenes 1 and 2, anyone feeling that they were expecting this is where the play was going to be going? I mean, we were talking in the first session of just going, what is this ride that we are? What is going on? We've had a whole scene, and Rafe hasn't done anything. That's not allowed. I'm expecting Rafe to do something. Where's Rafe? And things. And it's starting. And we were saying yesterday, wasn't it nice that it wasn't too problematic? And now we're just slightly delving into areas where it's just going. Yeah, it's getting a bit more awkward. We've got characters whose names are basically a reverse engineering job of right. We need the child's name to be Ruina. We'll name them after 2 people. What are your names? You'll be Ru and you'll be Ina. That'll work. No one will think that's contrived. But yes, we have now got to the end of the riddle, and we've got there. Why Mercury didn't say these things out, in a much more clear fashion, and himself, who I'm sure would have been a more efficient and quicker courier, because of plot, is the answer to that. Alan.
And the other thing is that the Mercury's line there, U, I, and A, the vowels B and Via is the way, is a visual pun rather than an oral one. It's only if you've got the type where U's and V's are confused.
Give me a U, give me an I. Lois.
Yes, quite.
I think,
stop that war.
I think U and V are the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
This period, you can use either.
I actually think in early modern typography, the U and V were almost always the reverse of what we would do now. But they somehow, at some point, they flipped. But anytime you see a V, it's what we would call a U, and vice versa.
I should have used the classical pronunciation. Then, if it had been Via, it would have almost made sense.
Yeah.
Quite often you will get a V if it's a capital and a U if it's in the middle of the word.
All right, there you go. I don't know about TypeScript because I don't read much in the way of early modern printed texts, but certainly in manuscript, that's usually the way it goes.
Okay. There's and it's basically whenever Mars comes on, you're sort of just going, not the this play is and Mercury being bit problemy. They're all a bit problemy really. This sequence is getting just that little bit more awkward. as we go. Any additional thoughts before we go on to scene 10? No, everyone's good. Okay, we'll go on to scene 10. Enter the Duke, Scholar, who we haven't really seen very much of, and the Cobbler, Rafe.
'Tis true, O Duke, that I do say, he still would make thy life away. He is too frolic and too lusty, thou too simple and too trusty. Wars shall in thy land begin for pride, contempt, and other sin. Nothing shall appease heaven's ire till the cabin of contempt be set on fire, and wantonness with lewd desire be trampled underfoot as mire. The cobbler has no more to say, but for the people's sin, good princes oft are ta'en away.
Well, God a mercy, fellow, go thou in.
And exit Rafe.
He raves, my lord, ill-advised of you to suffer him so near your princely excellence.
His presence breeds me no offence.
And there's a cry within. Help! Murder! Murder! Rafe comes running out. Emnius after him with his dagger drawn. After Emnius, Zelota, the cobbler's wife, who snatches the dagger from Emnius and runs raving.
What? Rafe? Rafe? So fine you will not know your wife? What, a gilden sword and a silver knife? There, Rafe, put it up!
She stabs Emnius and he falls dead. She stands again, suddenly amazed.
What so? Where am I?
Faith, well, he ha' made a fair piece of work.
Lay hold on them. What violence is this to have one murdered even before our presence?
What cause hast thou to kill this gentleman?
None in the world. I never knew him,
No, faith, she's mad, and has been ever since I was a prophet. And 'cause she saw a dagger without a sheath, she'en put it up in his belly.
Why, what acquaintance hast thou with this woman?
Oh, Lord, sir, she's been acquainted with me a great while, with mine ears, with every part of me. Why, 'tis my wife.
The likelier may it like your grace of his consent. The good they both suffer punishment.
Commit them both, but she has long been mad, and may be heaven reserved to this end.
Come, sirrah, you and your wife must go to ward till you be tried for clearness or consent.
Oh, sir, whether you will, I am content. God Mercury has served me prettily, has made my wife mad, and said she should not be well till by her hand a traitor fell. And I must even be hanged for company.
Exeunt with the cobbler and his wife, some bear out Emnius' body.
I do not guess the woman guilty of this crime, but the just heavens in their severity have wrought this wreck for Emnius' treachery.
Enter Scholar, who presumably must have been one of those bearing out the body, and a messenger.
Here is a messenger, my gracious lord, that brings ill tidings to your quiet
What
state.
are they, fellow? Let us hear them speak. Spare not.
The Argives and the men of Thessaly with mighty powers are come upon your coast. They burn, waste, spoil, kill, murder, make no spare of feeble age or harmless infant youth. They vow to triumph in Boeotia and make your highness vassal to their will. They threaten mightily. Their power is mighty. The people fall before them as the flowering grass. The mower with his scythe cuts in the mead. Help your poor people and defend your state, else it will soon be ruinate.
I will provide as far as heavenly powers and our abilities shall give consents. I'll to the temple and pour forth my prayers. Meanwhile, let Sateros be called for to muster up the people with all speed.
And exit the Duke.
Now see I that this simple-witted man, this poor plain cobbler, truly did divine. The gods, when we refuse the common means sent by their oracles and learned priests, raise up some man contemptible and vile, in whom they breathe the pureness of their spirits, and make him bold to speak and prophesy.
Enter Sateros the soldier.
Welcome, friend Sateros. You are fitly come. The Duke intends that you shall lead the field, the powers of Boeotia, against his foes. Are you prepared and willingly resolved?
Why, you, sir, by your pen can do as well. I know 'tis nothing but facsimile.
Soldier, stand not on that. Discharge your duty. The country needs our service and our counsel. I'll do my best, and do you your endeavour for public quiet and Boeotia's honour.
Well, I forget your scorns given me in peace, and rate all envy at a humble price. I'll do my duty, do not you neglect. Arms will not art, art should not arms reject.
A blessed concord. I will to the Duke, and leave thee, Sateros, to thy glorious war.
Enter hastily the long-missed country gentleman.
Oh, sir, I have been seeking ye all day, and greatly do I praise my fortunes thus to meet ye.
In good time, sir. Be brief, I pray.
You do remember me, I hope.
Not very well, I promise ye.
Lord, sir, and you be advised, I was one of them that reasoned before contempt, when you defended war, another art, one of the court, and I the country.
I remember indeed such a reasoning before that vile monster Contempt. But you I have forgot.
Oh, Lord, sir, yes, by that token we went afterward to the ordinary.
True, true. Now I call you to mind by this token. I was not able to reach commons, and so was cashiered out of your company.
'Twas against my will, if faith. Ye saw I was another man's guest.
That's no great matter. But what's your business with me now, that you seek for me so hastily?
Marry, sir, there is war toward. Do ye not hear on it?
That's too sure.
And I fear by reason of my wealth I shall be chosen for a captain over some companies.
And what of that?
Why, I have no skill, and therefore would hire you to serve in my place. I'll please ye well.
The Duke wants men, sir, and therefore must ye serve yourself, though not as a captain, yet in a place fitting your person. You offer me money. Why, man, I'll deal kindly with ye. Ye shall have some of me. Here, take it. Be not nice. In the Duke's name, I charge ye with horse and furniture to be ready tomorrow by break of day, for the business asks speed.
But I hope ye will not deal so with me.
But I am sure I will. Therefore, dispatch on peril of your life.
Why, what a life is this, that such as I must serve? A shame on wars for me that ere they were.
And exit the country gentleman. Enter Rafe and other prisoners with weapons.
Why, how now, fellows? What are you?
Rafe, you are muted.
What, soldier? Do you not know me?
Yes, Rafe, but what are these?
Certain poor fellows of mine that have been mewed up. And now the exclamation goes, we shall have wars. We are all set at liberty and sent to you to be trained up.
Why were't in prison?
Faith, I prophesied so long that I'd like to have been hanged. My wife killed the courtier man that would have killed me and the Duke too. But I'll be a prophet no longer, that's flat. After I've done being a soldier, I'll to cobbling again.
So dost thou well. But, fellow, tell me, why wert thou in?
Oh, faith, sir, for nothing but riding another man's horse.
That was but a small matter.
A thing of nothing. For when he had stolen him, he were as good ride him as lead him in the hand.
Faith, that's even the truth of it.
I think you have all been of such condition. But now betake you to another course. The Duke hath given you life and liberty, where otherwise your deeds deserved death. If now you do offend under my charge, look for no favor but the martial law, death on the next tree, without all remission. And if you like not this, I will return ye from whence ye came, to bide the doom of law. Speak, will ye live and serve as true men should?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sure you take me for none of their number.
No, Rafe, thou shalt be still with me. I have a host of worthy soldiers ready to march. To them now will I go. Heavens and good fortune quell our furious foe.
Sound drums, exit omnes. So, yeah, again, we have a whole series of surprises. Yeah, so I just love Rafe just going, you know that person I told you was going to try and kill you? He's still trying to kill you. And then we get what we would, the payoff to a joke set up at the very beginning of the play. It's a really long lead time on this one of Zelota coming in conveniently mad to murder the bad person in this fit of madness. And then it's so waking out of her trance. Let's start with Zelota running on mad and the death of Emnius and that situation. Did we all see that? That obviously was going to happen. We all saw that coming, didn't we?
Well, we guessed that it was going to be a righteous murder somehow when we were told she had to murder somebody. But I don't think that we saw it coming as such, no. Mad woman ex machina.
Yes.
The attic.
Yeah, which raises a whole question of geography, as the Duke's presumably back in his hometown and he's just returned home, and or has he been bringing his wife William on the whole journey? How's the logistics fashion? I'm not seriously asking this question, by the way. Alan.
Geography, logic, early modern.
Yeah.
No contact.
Yeah. Helen.
I think there are opportunities for going mad for Zelota, both in the first scene and in this scene. She doesn't have much in the way of lines, but I think there must be a certain amount of stage opportunity for some fairly dramatic going completely bonkers.
Well, yeah. I mean, she gets, in her first scene, she got all the obvious sort of shouty, screamy, singing song madly kind of business opportunity there, and it's the kind of thing that we get in the old wives' tale, where you have the random wife who is mad, who just literally runs across the stage and says nothing. And who has a different name, but there is another character in the play whose name begins with a Z, and there's all those sort of who's spoofing who quality to that, which I find interesting about these sort of just these setups that are just there to be setups. There's all this plot convenience stuff is just happening, and the advantage with prophecy is, of course, it's happening because of prophecy and this thing, and it's contrived for a reason. And then war happens. There's war, people. Lucky we've got a soldier nearby. And then you get the country gentleman who just gets enlisted. He gets pressed. Helen.
Yes, I mean, what we have here is very, very much early modern war. You've got the local levies. According to your status, you have to provide a footman furnished or a horseman furnished. There are an awful lot of people, especially in London, who had put a lot of money into training up a band of men, which, when taken over by the crown, they were not allowed to be its captain. And this really upset them, because that was the whole point of shelling out the money. And then also you've got the prisons being emptied to provide troops. which once again was exactly what was happening. They would take, obviously the localities would provide the vagrants and anybody they could get scrape together. But they did also, from the very beginning of Elizabeth's reign, and certainly at the time we're talking about here, they were emptying the prisons to fill the army.
Mm. And and we got a good gag. I do like the what were you in for? Riding another man's horse. I mean, it's worth doing once you've stolen it. It's as good as walk with it. It's actually, I think that would land perfectly well. I don't think it needs adjusting. Lynn, I saw a hand, then Eric.
I didn't realize that all of those details were accurate, but I do know that bribery was extremely common. Get yourself out of active duty or to get yourself a cushy position. So what the country gentleman tries to do in bribing Sateros is also historical. Like, here, I'll give you some money if you make me a captain. Yeah, so that's all. It's all critique of actual practice.
Yeah, he tries to bribe Sateros, and Sateros just throws money back at him, saying, "No, I'll hire you to do this in my place."
I borrow.
Yeah, it's that satirical edge, using this sort of semi-classical situation to play around with things that are very, very current at the time, and that of which there might be analogues we could play around with today. I don't know really that we can quite, but maybe there are. Other thoughts about this whole situation? Sorry, Eric, I was going to go to you. Yes.
I was just going to say that when Helen was mentioning the bands of men trained in London, my brain went, "And the apprentices of London, yay!" From a different play. I've been very well trained, clearly.
Yes, we're still about 7 years away from that one, but it's... it's that kind of sentiment. And it's interesting, that last exchange at the end, Rafe. I'm sure you take me for none of their number. I'm just wondering what that exchange is. Whether Sateros is saying, when he's saying to him, "Thou shalt still with me." I mean, is it Rafe going, "Oh, you don't really mean me"? He tries to walk off, and Sateros grabs him by the collar and says, "No, you're staying with me," or is it saying more complicit? Lois.
Yeah, I think he just means you don't think I'm one of these prisoners that's in for having actually done something awful. I mean, I've just explained why I was in, and Sateros obviously believes him. So that's why he's saying, you don't go along with the rest of those jailbirds. And I've got a decent regiment here that I've trained myself, and you're going to be connected with them somehow or other.
Any additional thoughts? We have 3 more scenes to do this session. Eric.
Well, the way that was read, I thought it was more like sort of, you're going to stick with me, so I'm going to protect you kind of thing. And you don't have to worry about being hanged if you don't, if you sort of defect, or not defect, it's called desert.
Yeah.
Okay. I say 3 more scenes. Scene 11. We return to the world of the gods more directly. Enter Contempt, Venus following him, he pushing her from him twice or thrice. So, okay, you can't do it once, and you can't do it 4 times. You've got twice or thrice. That's your limit.
Away, thou strumpet, scandal of the world, cause of my sorrow, author of thy shame. Follow me not, but wander where thou wilt, in uncouth places, loathed of the light, fit shroud to hide thy lustful body in, whose fair is disdained with foul adulterous sin.
Oh, my content, prove not so much unkind, to fly and leave thy love alone behind. I will go with thee into hollow caves, to the dens of furious beasts. I will descend with thee unto the grave. Look on me, love, let me some comfort have. Contempt still turns from Venus. What, not a word to comfort me in woe? No look to give my dying heart some life? Nothing but frowns, but lowers, but scorns, disdains? Woe to my pleasures that have brought these pains. Have I for this set light the god of war, against whose frowns nor death nor heaven can stand? Have I, for this, procured the angry gods to make me exile from all blessedness? Have I, for this, lost honour and renown, become a scandal to the vulgar world, and thus to be repaid, oh, break my heart. Had all these evils fallen upon my head, and millions of more harms than heaven could leap, yet all were nothing, had not my content rewarded me thus vilely with contempt.
Shape of collusion, mirror of deceit, fair form with foul deformities defiled, know that I am contempt. I am contempt in nature scornful, foe to thy good and fatal to thy life, that while I joyed in glory and account, disdained all virtue and contempt all vice, good, bad were held with me of equal price. And now the waning of my greatness comes, occasioned by thy love, whom Mars respected. And I that all despised am now rejected, for which I thee reject, disdain and hate, wishing thee die a death disconsolate.
Yet once regard me as a thing regardless. Thou art the abject wretch alive esteemed. I worse than vileness, in the world am deemed. I scorned, thou hated, each like other being. Live we together, void of other being.
Lightness of lightest things that vaunt of life, sprung from the frothy bubbles of the sea, leave to solicit him that loathes thy looks, spitting upon thy face with face's painted pride. I will forsake thee, and in silence shroud this loathed trunk, despised and abhorred.
And exits the charmer Contempt. She offers to follow, he drives her back.
So flies the murderer from the mangled limbs, left limbless on the ground by his fell hand. So runs the tiger from the bloodless prey, which when his fell stomach is of hunger staunched. Thou murderer, tiger, glutted with my fare, leaves me forsaken, map of grief and care. Oh, what is beauty humble to the base, that never had a care of civil thought? Oh, what is favour in an obscure place, like unto pearls that for the swine are bought? Beauty and favour where no virtue bides, proves foul, deformed, and like a shadow glides. Oh, that my woe could other women warn to love true wedlock, or the virgin's life. For me too late. For them, fit time to learn the honour of a maid and constant wife. One is adored by gods with holy rites, the last like lamps, both earth and heaven lights. But the foul horror of a harlot's name, even of the lecture counted as a scorn, whose forehead bears the mark of hateful shame, of the lust lover hated and forlorn. Oh, such is Venus. So all shall be, as use base lust and foul adultery.
Exit. And that's the moral, folks. Yeah, if we were waiting for someone to really show their hand in explicit sense, yeah, there we've got it. I mean, I think it's useful to have done this following some of the John Lilly plays that we've been doing. If you compare this with Sappho and Phao, you compare this with Galatea last week, and you look at the there are some similarities. Obviously, there's but then this is just, there is no ambiguity as to what the author seems to be doing here at all. And until now, we've been able to go, well, maybe it's doing this, maybe it's doing that, and then he just can't help himself, can he? He plays his hand, and there it lies on the table. Those cards. He's got nothing. He's got nothing. Any thoughts in the room? Lots of thoughts. I'll start with Emma, Lynn, and Eric.
Yeah, I mean, what a contrast to Venus' earlier scenes, where she was just playing everybody, very confident in herself, completely the Venus that we know. And here, it's kind of like, well, yeah, as you say, it becomes almost a morality play, very didactic. It's almost like words are being forced into her mouth, because this is Venus, the goddess of love, saying things that she'd never say, surely. She's kind of being twisted into saying all these didactic things. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it we expect Contempt to say what Contempt says. That that is within the logic of he is not a very nice character, he is not a nice person, therefore you're not supposed to root for anything Contempt says. When Venus then basically takes that on board, then yeah, we're in big trouble. Lynn.
I was thinking about Elizabeth's observation during Final Thoughts, I think, of yesterday's session, that some of the scenes seem to gallop along and others, not so much. I mean, so Venus and Contempt have a nasty breakup, and we're privy to that. That's not exactly fun to begin with, but they go on, and then it turns really preachy. Yeah. And I agree with Emma. It's like, this is just, it's something that the play has to say, not that a character that's consistent with what we understand of Venus would say. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose it's not utterly surprising late in the reign of the Virgin Queen to have this little, this didactic moment, but yeah, kind of not a fan.
Yeah. I think yeah. That's it's yeah. You might know. Anyway, Eric.
I was going to say that it's very Three Ladies of London-y, where it has that thing of, oh yes, we spoiled the lovely. I don't think it was Luke, or it was someone else. Anyway, we spoiled her, and now she's I think it was Conscience maybe, and now she's marked and painted face and all that stuff, and she can't ever redeem herself until, of course, the three lords appear in the next play. But yeah, it's very sort of, yeah, but it's fun to read, just like this, all that alliteration and sort of going, a fair form with foul deformities defiled. It's just, it fills your mouth kind of like, and it gives you ammunition.
Invective is very easy to enjoy as a technical challenge, and you have a clear intention, so it can roll off the tongue. I think we've definitely got Robert Wilson's number. I mean, especially looking at the Lords and Ladies plays, about what his views on such things are, or the official company's views on such things are. What are also his views? Yeah, they make it very, very hard to do this part of the play. We were doing all right up until a certain point, and then I'm seeing the blue pencil just gets thicker. I'm just holding it down much harder on the page as we go. Rachael.
I was just gonna say that I think that it just gets more and more shocking because, Venus is so symbolic of not just of love, but being a goddess. She also has a high status, and that he's dragging this, symbolic woman goddess to this down so low in the writing that she's rejected by other gods and people, and by everyone. I think is kind of it. I think it speaks more largely than if it was just a woman, a regular woman character, who even had status, because I mean Venus has been around for how many thousands of years, and like human whatever, and she has this whole buildup. Yeah, I think that's just my thought.
Yeah, and it's Venus has all these stage directions about. She keeps following him. She keeps going. He's turning her away all the time, and so it's constant in that sense. Eric, then Aliki.
I was just gonna remark on the language. It's at the part where Contempt goes, lightness of light just thinks of want of life, and he starts really. You think that maybe he's gonna give way, maybe not, but it just kind of like he kind of what's called he twists that. It's like sort of, you can't tell from the way it's written until you get to the next bit, basically. That, oh yes, my beauty, most beauteous beauty, so on and so forth, and then leave, piss off, kind of, which is very sort of such a twist. I don't know, just yeah, it's really well written.
Aliki.
I know we're talking about the allegory and Wilson's misogynist point, but I think that, I mean, real women, including some very beautiful ones, do follow around after horrible men who are horrible to them. It's not unrealistic in that way. And maybe you could find a way to say that in a production that would rescue some of this quite lovely, if horrible, text, if you see what I mean.
Oh, it's an effective scene. I mean, as a scene that is doing something, it is doing it very effectively. It's just we don't really necessarily like what it's doing, or what it's also saying in the overall context of the rest of the play. I mean, we almost need a neon sign in the back of the stage to just flicker on occasionally and just goes patriarchy. And you know, we were talking about earlier, we need little signs occasionally just to explain who the things are, and just, you know, the stage is bathed suddenly in this red light of just of just awkwardness of what do we do with this scene, as just a signifier, and then you get scenes where we're fine with this. It's all green. I'm only half joking when I say that as well. Other thoughts? We have 2 more scenes. Let us run them into each other, I think. Let's run to the end. Scene 12, as we have it labelled. Enter the Duke, his daughter, priest and scholar. We've heard about the daughter. We have not met her, and she has no lines. They compass the stage. From one part let a smoke rise, at which place they all stay.
Mortal mover of this glorious frame that circles us about with wonder great, receive the offerings of our humble hearts and bodies prostrate on the lowly earth.
They all kneel down.
Our sin hath drawn the fury of thy wrath and turned our peace to misery and war. But if repentant souls may purchase grace, we crave it humbly and intend to live hereafter more reformed than we have done. For pride we entertain humility, for our presumption due obedience, love for contempt, and chastity for lust. The cabin of contempt doth burn with fire, in which our sin are cast, and there consume. Hear us, ye heavenly powers, help we require, and be propitious to the penitent.
And enter a messenger.
Rise from the humble earth, my noble lord. Rise up, ye priests, princes, and people, rise, and hear the gladsome tidings I unfold of happy peace and glorious victory.
They all rise and cast incense into the fire.
For that sweet voice offered to us by man, cast sweetest incense into holy fires, and while they burn, tell on thy happy news, that we may hear and honor heavenly powers.
When Sateros, my lord, had brought your power in view of our presuming enemies, and equal place was chosen for the field, he sent a herald, willing them restore the wrongs that in Boeotia they had done, and leave the country, turning to their home, or else resolve on doubtful chance of war. They, proud, ambitious, covetous of gain, returned in answer filled with disdain, and then the signal given, the streamers red, menacing blood on either side, advanced. Drums, fifes, and trumpets drowned the cries of men, that each were fell before the foeman's swords. Mars there showed ruthless rage on either part, and murder ranged through every rank. Dust dimmed the sun's light, and powder's smoke seemed like thick clouds in air congluminate. Thus was 7 hours consumed, and doubtful chance, sometime with us, sometime with them, abode, till at the length our general gave charge to found retreat, which made the hopeful foe pursue, regardless our retiring bands. That being knit together in firm rank, afresh pursued their straggling followers. Then fell their glory like the ripened corn before the sickle in the reaper's hand. In brief, some fled, some slain, and many taken, have left the honor to Boeotia.
Heavens and Sateros return we thanks, for thy reward receive this recompense. The Dukes give him his upper garment. Ourselves will forward to salute our friends that fought for honor of Boeotia. Sound drum and trumpet notes triumphantly. Heaven have the honor for this victory.
Which is a helpful cue to sound drum and trumpet. So enter with drum and trumpet Sateros, led between Mars and Mercury, Rafe, Cobbler and his wife following, and others soldiers.
Thus, Sateros, have we assisted thee, our true sworn soldier, worthy man-at-arms, and the Boeotian Duke hath heaven appeased by firing false contempt and loathed lust. Mercury, the sun and messenger of love, with me shall pass unto my warlike house. Go thou unto the Duke with all thy train, that longs to see thee, and requite thy pain.
To mighty Mars and wary Mercury, poor Sateros gives thanks and vows his duty.
Are ye here, i' faith? Here's two on ye. Rafe Cobbler may curse the time that ere he knew your company.
Mine, man.
Aye, yours. What reason had you to make my wife mad? Aye, and so mad to kill one, and then make me a prophet.
It was the secret judgment of the gods. Sateros, speak to the Duke to think on him and to remit her fault.
It shall be done.
Is this the prophet?
Aye, that it is, that told you your own when 'twas.
Sateros, use him well.
No doubt you that. I remembered since he told him, if ye set yourself against the gods, they would drive you out of heaven.
Well, what of that?
Faith, at that time the world might well have afforded you a cart to ride in.
Go to, Rafe, cease.
Aye, aye, and great folk do amiss. Poor folk must hold their peace.
Mars, shall we hence?
Aye. Farewell, Sateros.
Exeunt Mars and Mercury. Enter with honour the Duke and his train.
Welcome, brave soldier. Welcome to you all. Joy stops my words. I cannot speak my mind, but in this triumph pass we to the court, where you shall all receive your due deserts.
Thanks, noble lord.
What shall I do then? And my wife?
I will provide for thee and pardon her.
Faith then, farewell the court. For now I'll not run and ride, nor no more abide. But since my mad wife has changed her mad life, I'll even leave to be a prophet speaker. Take clouting leather and nail and fall to my old trade of the gentle craft of the cobbler.
Aye, Ralph, that will be fittest for us.
Come, Sateros, let me yet honour thee, to whom the heavens have given great victory, and took in worth our worthless sacrifice, wherein contempt and lust with old ingratitude have perished like fume that flies from fire. March forward, brave and worthy man-at-arms, thy deeds shall be rewarded worthily. Embrace the scholar, live you to his friends, for arms and learning may not be at jar. Counsel prevents, counsel prevails in war.
My thoughts are free from hate. Let me not live when soldiers fail good letters to defend.
Let every scholar be a soldier's friend, as I am friend to thee, and so will rest.
Aye, so live, and ye are blessed. How sayest thou, Zelot? Is not that life best?
Then with due praise to heaven let us depart, our state supported both by arms and art.
And they exit and the play ends. So yes, in these two scenes, what we've got here is the war is over. They are casting incense into the fire, which, depending on how you're doing the incense, you could end up with a quite nice flashy flame effect if you want to do it that way. And then we have everybody coming in. The world's in its rightful place. People have gone out and killed lots of people. Isn't it great? That's the way we like the world. Lots and lots of people are now dead. It was brilliant. So yes, now that Mars has become angry Mars again, we can have lovely wars. People get murdered and people go off to war since Mars and Venus split, and nobody has any time for love. So that's That's the world we all want. So there we go. Lois.
Yeah, it wasn't quite as unequivocally thuggish as that, because for one thing, they're invaded unjustly, and so they repel the invaders, which is rather better than going out and making war on somebody.
Yes, but nobody was planning on attacking them until Mars was split with Venus. I mean,
yeah,
it's that thing of everything is relatively peaceful and happy.
Yeah, well, the gods probably whipped it up, but at any rate, it's not the Boeotians' fault. And then at the end, there's so much emphasis all the way through on the soldier and scholar having to kind of go together. You know, I mean, people even quoted "Arma verum quae cano," as, which is kind of a silly thing to quote, but just because it's the idea of arms and the man, and Tom Marty quam Mercurio, as much to Mars as to Mercury. I think that was Sir Philip Sidney's motto, wasn't it?
Could be. Off the top of my head, I cannot remember, but that sounds plausible. Other thoughts from the room about this happy ending? Rafe and his wife have got off the murder rap, so that's nice. I love the way it's Mercury and says to Sateros to sort it out with the Duke. I would have thought the god could just say, "Oi, no, that would be fine." Mercury really doesn't like doing the job himself, does he? Always outsourcing. Always outsourcing. Okay, other thoughts in the room about this ending? Eric.
Well, he's shamed Contempt and Venus quite a lot, and he doesn't do the thing that he did with Ladies of London, where they're kind of locked up and sort of all that stuff. But I don't know if it's a better ending. I mean, in terms of how problematic it is. But then I guess in the world of the play, it makes sense. But then, I don't know, it kind of, you don't really see them at the end to sort of boo at them and so on. No.
Other thoughts? Helen?
Well, Rafe has far too many farewell lines. I kept on thinking we'd seen the back of him, and then he pops up with another line.
I think that's the joke, because whenever Rafe turns up, people are trying to get rid of him, and here in his final bit, they have to try and try and try.
Yes, go to Rafe, cease. Shush. It does have a certain Return of the King vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The only ones who did that successfully were the Muses.
Yeah.
Lois.
Yeah, I'll do my sort of final comments now because I've got to leave. I think if I were doing this, I would cut most of that contempt stuff, which just doesn't seem to me to work. I bet you could get rid of that whole subplot or whatever it is. It seems to me the least good part of the play. Most of the rest of it is sort of okay. I mean, Mercury looking for a messenger to get Mars away from Venus, and then Rafe's function in the play and the various things that happen to him, and the various wars. I mean, I realize that it's all got to do with the contempt that society falls into when lust dominates, but I don't know, because it's never really worked out. I mean, nobody seems to be deceived by the content thing anyway. They all know perfectly well that this person's called Contempt, so I don't know. But there seems to be some idea. I mean, I doubt that Wilson is really saying that content is a bad thing anyway. That what people take for content is really contempt. It doesn't make any sense, really. It's just he really shouldn't try to do allegory, not original allegory anyway.
It's that scene too. It's still the structural problem. I mean, as we get into this final sequence of, I can see ways of sort of essaying it there by overstating what the play does. That where we end up is a worse place. The play ends in a bad way. Thank you, Lois, by the way. And that we might be able to find ways of making that work, and by highlighting what this misogyny is doing in the latter ends of the play, without necessarily just making straightforward, let's just remove this scene or this bit or that, but just making it into something that is commenting on what was happening then as also what is happening now. I don't necessarily think that's an easy thing to do, but it might be doable. in that thing. So yes, we're going into final thoughts. Once again, Wilson has bowled us a tricky ball that has lots of good stuff mixed in with some really, really difficult stuff to do. So, final thoughts from the room. Who wants to leap in before I start picking on you? I saw Aliki was tentatively raising a hand earlier, so I'm going to pick on Aliki first.
Well, you sort of said what I was going to say, which is that, as I mentioned earlier, if you take the straight narrative of Venus's life, you don't need, in this play, you don't need to make it a misogynist story. But how you do that when everybody is screaming misogyny at her and she utters misogyny herself, I mean, I can sit here and say, well, we internalize misogyny all the time, but yeah, I don't know. It would be a shame to lose it, though. So there must be some way of doing it. We'll work on it. I don't really have any final thoughts. Apart from I enjoyed Helen's Rafe a great deal.
Yeah, we have definitely got bits from this play we can remove and do in another context very, very easily. And perhaps we could stage this play, broadly speaking, as it is written, with some spin. The question is whether we should and whether we can achieve the effect that we would want to come out of the play, which is always one of those things. Just because we can doesn't always mean we should. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting piece. Given that what we've said, that this was written by Wilson for himself as Rafe, what surprises me is the quality of the writing of the other characters. Normally one would expect that if someone's writing something as a star vehicle for themselves, they wouldn't actually be sort of scattering glitter over the other characters to the extent that's happened here. Because I think a number of the other characters are also quite strong, which made it work for me, rather than being just a one-trick pony.
Yes, no, he has, in a way that perhaps he doesn't do in the Peddler's Prophecy, which I'm fairly confident to assign to him, which is perhaps even more of a star vehicle in terms of the way it's structured. I mean, part of that's to give himself a break, of course. He can't be on stage all the time. But yeah, it's also, you don't want to, if you want to get it put on, you kind of have to give something to the other actors, because they will potentially have as much power within the company as you do. So even if you are an actor / writer at the same time. Emma, you've come in halfway through, as it were. You didn't have the delights of the muses desperately trying to get a pen. How's this for you? Thoughts about what might be done with it? Final thoughts?
Yeah, so I read the beginning, but yeah, it obviously would be nice to hear it. But I think there are. I don't really like a lot of the messages of the play, but I still think it has a lot of potential. I laughed a lot today. I enjoyed the comedy. I really did. Like the soap opera between the gods, the character of Rafe. Giving an ordinary person a superhuman power that he's struggling with always makes for a really good comedy, I think. If you can find ways of looking at the scenes that are more problematic to make it a better whole, then I think it's definitely got somewhere to go. I enjoyed it.
Rachael, final thoughts?
I think Lois was saying that it seems like he's put together a lot of things from, depictions of Mars before he jumps into war mode, of being dressed in silks and things like that. I feel like some of this is like a counter to those depictions of Mars, like how young men now paint their nails, and there's every generation has a different type of masculinity. Like maybe these depictions of Mars being more relaxed was something he disagreed with, and he wanted to reassert this different type of masculinity. Yeah, not that I agree with that type of masculinity, but maybe that was his goal as a writer, is just like to reinstate just this hyper masculine stuff. But I think also, like Aliki was saying, that you could take this and look at it from a more internal perspective, that there are people that have these like relationship issues where they do not go for the best person for them. It just irks me that he picked Venus to be that person, even though she does make trouble in all these different plays and all these different myths for everybody else, that she has it being thrown back on her and has to deal with it herself. I just don't like, just because she's just symbolically so up there in literary history and as such a, I guess, such a powerful depiction of a woman consistently throughout history. Yeah, I know they were a little misogynistic, and by a little I mean a lot.
Lynn, final thoughts?
Yeah, there were bits from yesterday. I definitely enjoyed the whole device of we've got the muses. I've got a great inspiration on anything to write with. I mean, that's funny. I mean, that's funny. And the whole premise of this ordinary tradesperson being sort of saddled with the gift of prophecy. That's an amusing premise. So there are some really entertaining bits that actually survived the test of time rather well. But I really do just find the misogyny and the warmongering really quite off-putting. So, yeah, I'm not sure I would find the problems in this text worth grappling with. Sorry.
Eric, final thoughts?
I always enjoy playing voice characters because it's fun. But this one just took such a nasty turn very, very quickly, because like you don't really see a lot of Contempt at the beginning. You usually that you have the whole, oh yes, I'm plotting and stuff, because obviously this is not a morality play, but it also is at the same time. But I feel like you could do what Aliki suggested yesterday, where you've got someone on the side sort of helping. I think it was for the muses scene where he was sort of like typing out and like looking stuff up on Google and going, oh yeah, that's Tiffany, that's music comedy and so on. And if you have someone outside the play to balance out sort of the modern perspective with the early modern perspective, then maybe it can actually work. I don't know how that would work, but sort of, or like Aliki was also saying, because apparently I listen to Aliki a lot, like it would be interesting to see like what the scenes would be like without Rafe, like what would happen if you devise a scene like the exact same plot but without Rafe. What happens then? Like all the what ifs are just too much fun to leave alone, I guess.
Yeah, there's something really interesting. This is something that is sort of the last touching on the idea of a morality play, and one of the reasons why we sort of reject anything that at the end has a moral is A, because we don't like the moral in this play, but also because it's just a bit rubbish to have someone come on and tell you, this is what it's about. This is what this is. This is what this is. As well as what it's actually saying is just it's unsatisfactory for that to be spelt out at the end as well, and to be spelt out in. And so there's a sort of interesting tension with this quite old-fashioned idea at the time of doing this kind of play, or this idea that's starting to go very much out of fashion and disappear, so that you can have moral tales and moral ideas being put in plays, but you have to fully fold it into the action without it just feeling really, really annoying. And as I say, yes, unpleasant. Helen, final thoughts?
I think this play's a mess. it's a series. The big first part was one thing. The second part is something else altogether. And one of the things that really upsets it is the Duke, because the Duke suddenly comes in as the arbiter, or at any rate, the earthly arbiter. He is rewarding, he is deciding, he is pardoning, he is condemning, and yet he didn't appear at all until this half, which is structurally not helpful. I mean, it there's nothing except the cobbler that holds this thing together.
Well, the soldier does. The soldier's here for almost as long, and
well,
does connect that.
Yes, he misses out on some of the early stuff.
He's not in the first scene. After that, he's almost.
No, he disappears. Is he in Charon?
He's not in that scene,
but
he
is. In the Muses?
He's in the Muses.
Oh, he is. Oh, right.
He's almost every other scene, or every scene. I mean, they both are pretty omnipresent throughout.
Yeah, I mean, his journey is an interesting one, but
he's not a very interesting character, though.
No,
I think that's the important thing to say about the soldier. He's at the beginning, I was hoping he was going to be a braggart soldier, and he just turns out to be just a soldier. Who's quite good at being a soldier in a world where Mars is no longer doing any of that soldiering thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it. I think it's barely a play at all.
I don't think I'd go that far. I think you're right. It is very episodic and it isn't tidy. And you want to integrate the smaller characters that we meet in that first debate early on into the rest of the narrative, fold them into the narrative better. You want to set up the Duke better. But I don't think it's a mess in that sense. Certainly not. Last week we were doing what was the play we were doing in the evening, Eric? I forget. Common Conditions.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Which is just an and. There is a lot of and happening in this narrative, but most of the threads are connected and are there. It just needs tightening, and also what it's about needs sorting. I am unable to work out what it's about, unless it's about Mars good, but only when he's being martial. Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. Is that what the player's saying at the end? God knows. Well, that's one of the problems. Is if this is a satire, then what people are saying is good may not be what the player is trying to say. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that there might be wiggle room here. There probably isn't, but there might be. Eric. I mean, I usually start off really disliking a play and then come to love it by the end. This time has been the reverse. I was quite prepared to like this play, and I've gone right off it. Mm. Oh yeah, there's very good reasons. It's called Scene 11. It creeps in. It's more than Scene 11. Well, it's basically Mars and Venus, full stop. It's basically the moment they appear, the play goes very badly wrong. Eric?
I was just going to say that it depends how you read it, because, for example, if you read it as sort of, the gods have to play their role, then it just means that state officials have to perform their role exactly as stated. So, like, for example, I don't know, the admiral would have to be, in charge of the navy and not get distracted by other things, such as, such petty things like love, because, that could ruin the empire or something, or, ruin his odds at sea or whatever. So if you kind of read it that way, then I guess it depends how you play the rest of it.
I'm going to close the session now. Sometimes the way I run these sessions is it's all very easy and straightforward because I'm here to keep things positive and bouncing along, and sometimes it's really hard because the play just doesn't want to allow me to do that, and thus we come into conflict. Robert Wilson. This is our fourth bash at a Robert Wilson. It is the last tested text attached to his name. Yesterday we were going, yay, it's not xenophobic, it's not a bit racist, things are on the way, and then we just get late onset rampant misogyny that just really clamps down hard, and makes it very difficult once again to really like Robert Wilson. We can definitely take material out of this, and probably will be doing in terms of trying to examine certain clown figures later on. But probably for the moment, and possibly for a relatively long time, that's it for our looks at Robert Wilson. I try to be positive, sometimes I fail. All that remains is to thank everyone in the room for their work today, and goodbye.
Goodbye.